So throughout the years and generations of video game consoles, we've had video game developers get more ambitious with their games' look, their realism, and their art styles. And that's something I want to talk about here. With each passing console generation, we keep seeing massive jumps in terms of the graphics of the video games that we play today. Now, what I mean by that is every single time that there's a new console going from like PS4 to PS5, PS3 to PS4, whatever it is, you have a set amount of power in that console. A lot of games are based around whatever that is capable of. And a lot of times PC, even though they are much stronger than consoles, a lot of the times right there, they're also based around the power of the console. Yes, they're going to have some settings that are going to be higher up still, but regardless, because of the power of the consoles at that time, the games themselves are going to be a bit more limited simply because of that. Like, for instance, MMOs. Let's use MMOs as a great example here. If you look at an MMO in particular, you look at how it's trying to be very ambitious in terms of being able to have a lot of players on screen all at the same time, a lot of movement, a lot of enemies, so on and so forth. But however, that means that some of these MMOs are going to only be on PC, and if they get onto console, there's going to be some limitations, such as trying to take away some of the player count, take away all of the models on screen so that the game doesn't lag. So a lot of the times, any sort of game that goes onto a console, and not just PC exclusive, is going to be geared in a sort of like mix between what they're kind of like both able to handle. So yes, a video game on console can do up to a certain amount of whatever it can do in terms of their development. However, if you look at a PC, it can do all of that and more. However, because the game is going to be on console, and a lot of times developers don't want them to be too different so as to pick a more preferential platform, you have all of that going on behind the scenes and developers working with this stuff. But the main point of this video is not just that right there. The main point of this video that I'm trying to get at is actually the look. Basically, if you look at video games as a whole, you've seen the way they look. Look at anything from PS3 era. It had a lot of games from the PS3 era have tried to do realistic looks. And then once you get to PS4, those realistic looks from older Call of Duties, for instance, look so much worse than current Call of Duties. And then you get to PS5 or Xbox Series X, so on and so forth. It keeps going in further and further into a more realistic approach. You have ray tracing. You have all of these different technologies that developers are able to work with for their games to give them a certain art style or more realistic look, so on and so forth, whatever they want to work with. And my point here is I honestly believe that we're getting to a point in video game history that the most limiting factor for a developer is going to be their imagination. Now, I have 3 examples here. I have Cuphead, which came out in 2017. This is actually a generation ago we're talking about here. This is PS4, Xbox One times. Cuphead itself has an art style that is so eerily similar to that of old cartoons. It's got all of like the film grain on it. It's got all of the like up and down kind of movement with everything just works so well and so fluently. And the developers knew what they wanted to go with and charged straight for it and attained it. That right there shows you that going by what they were imagining right there, that was possible. That was something I did not see as a possibility from last generation. When I first saw Cuphead being announced, I was blown away by how it looked and how it played and everything. And I'm not gonna lie, I have never seen a game run like that, look like that. It has so many things going on that just oozed that old like 30s, 40s art style. And it just was so good. Now, for example, number 2, you have Kina, Bridge of Spirits. This game, when it was first announced, this came out for the last generation, I believe, PS4, Xbox One, as well as this generation. And what we got with it was a game that looked so absolute Disney movie, like current Disney movie. It was baffling right there. And this just goes to show even more so that art styles are going to be a big major factor in making games not only timeless, but also showing that video games have come a very long way from where they were in the PS2, PS3, whatever generation back then. They've come such a long way that you can look at a Disney movie right now and you will not be able to tell the difference between that and Kina Bridge of Spirits. There are people who can watch a trailer for Kina and probably think it's a Disney movie. It looks so good. It looks spot on. And this is incredible stuff. And then to get even further than that, something that's even more mind-blowing than both of those right there was actually the recent Matrix demo. This Matrix demo takes, basically, it takes a lot of instances from the first trilogy and kind of gives us a look that looks almost spot on with the first movies. And oh my gosh, like they even gave us some examples about Neo sleeping in front of his computer screen. While there are some coloration differences, the fact is, if you didn't know about the coloration differences right there and be able to spot from that, you would not be able to tell the difference between that and the real life movie. They are almost spot freaking on, and it is so incredible right there. And again, that's example number 3. This right here is just pushing the idea right here that I had, that we're getting to the point that that the developer's imagination is the only thing going to be holding back developers at some point. Technology has progressed to a place where they're comfortable enough to be able to show this stuff off, to be able to attain it. And now what we have here is we're at a generation where we're capable of doing all of this stuff right here. I can only imagine what's going to come next. PS6, whatever the next Xbox is. Once we get that generation bump in another 5-6 years, how are we going to be in terms of the video games, like art styles, technologies, gameplay? How is that all going to look? This is all incredibly interesting stuff, and we're seeing the beginning of this right now. I cannot wait to see what the future holds, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. So that's my point right there. I'm sticking to it, and I'm very much looking forward to the future. So I'm going to end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter, right here on YouTube, on Twitch, where I stream sometimes. And yeah, for the most part, that's where you can find me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all, and I hope to see you all next time. Adios.